A poor black kid helped a millionaire fix a flat tire, asking for nothing in return, just pure kindness. The next day, a sleek black SUV rolled up to his house, and what happened next flipped his whole family's life upside down. Curious about what went down? Stick around. Now, before we dive in, tell me what city you're listening from. I want to know how far this tale's reached. And don't forget to hit subscribe for more stories that could change your life. All right, let's get into it. It's a scorching mid-July afternoon in 2025 on a dusty back road near Ellensburg, Washington. The sun blazes overhead, turning the asphalt into a shimmering mirage. Golden wheat fields stretch endlessly, and the Cascade Mountains are just a hazy smudge on the horizon. Behind the wheel of a sleek black Bentayga EWB Mulliner, yeah, that's a mouthful, but think top-tier luxury, is Mike Reynolds. He's 45, a tech hotshot from Seattle, all sharp suit and sharper attitude. He's drumming his fingers on the steering wheel, glancing at his smartwatch every few seconds. He's got a huge investor meeting in 45 minutes, and time is slipping away. Then, bam! A jolt, like the road just punched back. The car lurches. That unmistakable thump, thump, thump kicks in. Flat tire. Mike mutters, "Of course, just my luck." He pulls over, gravel crunching under the tires, kicking up a cloud of dust. As he steps out, the heat slams into him like a wall. Loosening his tie, like that's gonna fix anything, he crouches beside the tire. It's a mess, rubber shredded, peeling like a bad sunburn. He grabs his phone, swipes at the screen. No bars, zero signal, just him, his ridiculously plush Bentley, and a whole lot of nowhere. Now, Mike's not exactly the DIY type. Back in Seattle, he's got assistants, mechanics, a whole crew for stuff like this. But out here, he's on his own. As he stares at the ruined tire, sweat trickling down his neck, he spots movement in the distance. A figure, strolling toward him down the road. A kid, maybe a teenager, wearing a faded Seahawks hoodie, beat-up sneakers, hands in his pockets like he's got all the time in the world. The kid gets closer, calls out casually, "Hey man, you stuck with that tire?" His voice is relaxed, cutting through the stillness. Mike straightens up, caught off guard but trying to play it cool. "Yeah, blew out on me. Not really my thing, fixing these." The kid, his name's Jaden, Jay for short, but we'll get there, grins and steps up. He's 16, all wiry energy and small-town confidence. "No worries, I got you. My dad taught me how to swap a tire ages ago. You got a spare?" Mike blinks. Maybe?" Jay's already at the back of the Bentley, popping the trunk like he owns it, digging out the spare and tools with effortless ease. Mike just stands there, hands useless, watching as Jay kneels in the dirt. The wrench clanks against the lug nuts. The old tire's off, the spare's on, bolts tightened. Fast, smooth, no hesitation. Jay wipes his hands on his jeans, stands, and gives Mike a thumbs up. "All set, man." Mike's floored. He fumbles for his wallet, pulls out a couple of 20s, even opens Venmo on his phone. "Here, kid, for your trouble, I owe you." But Jay just shakes his head, stepping back with that same easy grin. "Nah, I'm good. Just glad to help out. You've seemed kind of lost out here." He waves over his shoulder. "Take care, man." And just like that, he's walking off, disappearing down the road like he was never there. Mike stands there, cash still in hand, watching him go. Climbing back into the Bentley, he fires up the engine, but his mind is elsewhere. Who does that? Helps a stranger, no strings attached? He glances in the rearview mirror, Jay's figure shrinking to a dot, then gone. And that's when it hits him. This isn't over, not by a long shot. So Mike's back on the road, the Bentley purring like nothing ever happened. But his mind, oh, it's a mess. He's cruising toward Seattle, those wheat fields fading in the rear view, and all he can think about is that kid Jay grinning, wrench in hand, waving off his money like it's no big deal. It's gnawing at him, and not in a way he's used to. Mike's a guy who built a tech empire from scratch. Deals, deadlines, dollars. That's his world. People don't just do stuff for free, right? But Jay did, and it's throwing him off, big time. He pulls into his driveway in Bellevue later that evening. Think glass walls, manicured lawn, the kind of place that screams, "I've made it," but feels more like a showroom than a home. The automatic gate hums shut behind the Bentley, and he sits there a sec, engine off, staring out the windshield. Laura, his wife, 42, runs a little nonprofit, all warm vibes. pokes her head out the front door. "Hey, you're late," she calls, smiling, but her brow creases when she sees his face. She steps closer, arms crossed. "You okay, Mike?" He snaps out of it, grabs his briefcase and climbs out, slamming the door a little too hard. Yeah, just had a flat on the way back. No big deal." He forces a grin, but Laura's not buying it. She tilts her head. "You fix it?" Mike hesitates, then shrugs. "Nah, some kid showed up out of nowhere. Fixed it. Didn't want a dime." Laura's eyebrows shoot up. "For real? That's kind of rare these days." Inside, their kids are sprawled out. Sophie, 15, glued to her phone, all sarcasm and eye rolls. Ethan, 12, curious and wide-eyed. Mike flops onto the couch, still in his suit, and Sophie smirks without looking up. "What, no tip for the kid, Dad?" Ethan pipes up. "Maybe he's just nice. Not everyone's out for something," Mike grunts. "Yeah, well, we'll see about that." But those words stick with him. Dinner's quiet. Well, as quiet as it gets, with Sophie texting and Ethan chattering about some video game. Mike barely touches his steak, pushing it around the plate. Laura shoots him a look, leans her elbows on the table. "All right, spill it. You've been weird since you walked in." He sighs, rubs his forehead. "It's that kid, can't shake it. He fixed my tire. Wouldn't take cash, hell, wouldn't even take a Venmo, just helped. Walked off like it was nothing," Sophie snorts. "Sounds like a saint. You sure he wasn't scamming you?" Mike shoots her a look, but Laura softer. "Sometimes people do good just to do it, Mike. Not everyone's keeping score." He nods, but it doesn't sit right. He spent years climbing ladders, dodging people who'd step over you for a buck. He remembers being broke, stranded once, and nobody stopping. That bitterness still lingers, and Jay's kindness? It's like sandpaper on it. Later, he's in bed, Laura asleep beside him, and he's staring at the ceiling. That grin, that "take care, man," it's looping in his head. He can't let it go. By morning, he's up before the alarm, purpose buzzing in his chest. He's got to find that kid. No clue what he'll say, but he's got to try. He throws on jeans and a polo, none of that suit nonsense today, and grabs his keys. Laura stirs, peering over her coffee. "Where you off to?" He's halfway out the door, flashes a quick smile. "Back to where it happened. Don't wait up." He fires up the Bentley, peels out of Bellevue, and heads back to that Ellensburg back road. The fields look different today, less hostile, more familiar. He slows near where the tire blew, spots a weathered house set back from the road, peeling paint, gravel drive. His gut says it's the place. He parks, steps out, heart thumping for no good reason, and heads toward the door. So Mike's back on that Ellensburg back road, the Bentley crunching gravel as he pulls up to a weathered little house off the highway. It's not much, single story, paint chipping like it's given up, a patchy lawn with an old basketball hoop leaning in the breeze. It's late morning now, the sun climbing high, and he's got this weird mix of nerves and determination buzzing in his chest. He cuts the engine, steps out, jeans and polo, no tie today, and takes a deep breath. What's he even doing here? He's not sure, but he's knocking on that faded front door before he can talk himself out of it. There's a shuffle inside, and the door creaks open. A woman stands there, Tanya Carter, 38, Jay's mom, in a nurse's aide scrub top, hair pulled back tight. Her eyes widen at this guy in fancy kicks and a watch that probably costs more than her rent. "Can I help you?" she says, voice cautious, one hand still on the knob. Mike clears his throat, shifts his weight. Yeah, hi. I'm looking for a kid, 16, I think. He helped me with my car yesterday. Flat tire down the road. Tanya's face softens a bit, like she's piecing it together. She nods. "You mean Dayton? Jay?" She glances over her shoulder, calls out, "Jay, come here a sec, someone's asking for you." Footsteps thud from inside, and there he is. Jay, in that same Seahawks hoodie, eyes lighting up when he spots Mike. "Oh, hey man, back for another tire fix, huh?" He's grinning, all easy energy, leaning against the doorframe like this is just another Tuesday. Mike can't help but smile back, though it's a little stiff. "Nah, not this time. I couldn't stop thinking about yesterday. You helped me out, wouldn't take anything for it. I just wanted to find you, say thanks, right?" Jay shrugs, hands in his pockets. "No biggie, man. You were stuck. I wasn't going to leave you out there." Tanya's watching now, arms crossed, sizing Mike up like she's still not sure what to make of him. Then she steps back, softens a little more. "Well, come on in. I got coffee going. Least we can do." Mike hesitates, then nods, stepping into this cramped, cozy kitchen. It's warm, linoleum peeling at the edges, a mismatched table, but it's warm, lived in. Tanya pours him a mug, slides it over. So Jay's always fixing stuff. Got that from his dad. Used to tinker with cars before he took off. Jay nods, sipping Kool-Aid from a chipped glass. Yeah, been swapping tires since I was like 10. It's whatever. Mike's holding that coffee, steam curling up, and he's hit with this urge to do something. Listen, your roof, it looks a little rough out there. Leaky, maybe? I could get that patched up for you. I've got people, resources. Tanya's eyebrows shoot up, and she sets her mug down hard. Oh no, we're fine. We manage. You don't owe us anything. Jay tilts his head, curious, but doesn't jump in. Mike leans forward, voice low but firm. I know I don't owe you. I want to. You helped me, Jay, no strings. Let me do this. Tanya's eyes flicker, pride wrestling with something else. She glances at Jay, who gives a little nod, then back at Mike. We'll think about it, but you're welcome here, all right? Coffee's on the house. Jay grins, lifts his glass. Yeah, man, stick around. Mom makes killer eggs too. Mike's sitting there, mug warm in his hands, and something shifts. He's not used to this. People offering stuff, no catch. He nods, takes a sip. All right, I'll take you up on that. And just like that, he's in deeper than he planned. Coffee, kindness, and a kid who's already changing everything. A couple of days after that coffee at Jay's place, Mike is back, rolling up in his black Bentley Bentayga with a purpose. The Ellensburg sun is blazing, turning the gravel driveway into a dusty welcome mat. But this time, he's not alone. He's brought a small crew. 3 guys in work boots and tool belts led by Greg, a seasoned contractor with a beard like a lumberjack, and a handshake that could crush a can. They're hauling ladders and tarps, ready to tackle that leaky roof Mike couldn't stop thinking about. Jay's already outside before Mike even cuts the engine, grinning ear to ear. Whoa, man, you weren't kidding about fixing stuff. He's in his usual hoodie, sleeves rolled up, bouncing on his toes like he's itching to help. Mike steps out, wiping sweat from his brow. Jeans and a polo aren't exactly made for this heat, and nods. Told you I'd make it happen. Roofs first, then we'll see. Tanya appears in the doorway, still in her scrubs from an overnight shift, arms crossed but with the hint of a smile. You're stubborn, huh? She says, but there's no real fight in it. The crew gets to work, hammers banging, shingles being stripped away, and Jay's right in the middle of it, hauling tools and climbing ladders like he's done this 100 times. Mike tries to pitch in, holding a ladder steady, but he's clumsy, nearly dropping a hammer on Greg's foot. Jay laughs, not bad for a city guy, but maybe stick to watching for now. Mike chuckles, red-faced, but there's something good about this, sweat soaking his shirt, hands covered in grit. It feels real. By midday, Tanya steps out with a tray, PB&J sandwiches, Kool-Aid in plastic cups. The crew takes a break on the porch, catching their breath. Mike sits next to Jay, munching away. So, kid, he says, you're pretty handy. Ever thought about fixing cars for real? Jay shrugs, wiping jelly from his chin. Maybe. Dad used to say I could open a shop someday, just never had the cash to start. Mike nods, something clicking in his mind. Later, as the crew gets back to work, Mike and Jay stand by the Bentley, the air quieter now. You know, Mike starts, leaning against the car. I wasn't always rolling in it. Grew up scraping by. Nobody helped me back then. Maybe that's why this, he gestures toward the house. It's hitting me hard. Jay watches him, thoughtful. Yeah, but you got a family now, right? Fancy house, all that? Got the house, sure, but sometimes it feels cold, not like this place. Tanya steps out, catching the last part of the conversation. Her posture is softer now, less guarded. We've managed fine, Mike. Ruth's nice, but we don't need handouts. He straightens, his voice steady. It's not a handout. I want to do more. Kitchen's next. Maybe even a real room for Jay. You guys gave me something the other day. Let me give back. She hesitates, glancing at Jay, who's already nodding like, come on, Mom. After a moment, she sighs. All right, but we're feeding you. No arguing. By dusk, the roof is patched. The pipes in the bathroom no longer groaning, and Mike is sitting at that worn-out kitchen table again, watching Tanya fry eggs. Jay's talking about school, Tanya's laughing at his bad jokes, and Mike is just there, present. It's unfamiliar, warmth that doesn't come with a price tag. As he drives off, Bentley headlights cutting through the dark, he's already thinking about the next trip. This isn't just about fixing a house anymore. It's about something bigger. And he's all in. A week's passed since that first roof patch, and every day, that black Bentley kicks up Ellensburg dust like it belongs there. The place is buzzing. Greg and his crew are tearing out old drywall, hammering down new floorboards, swapping out cracked windows for double panes that'll keep the winter chill at bay. The house is starting to breathe again. Fresh paint on the siding, a porch that doesn't groan underfoot, and Mike's right in the middle of it, sleeves rolled up, actually getting his hands dirty. Jay's everywhere, darting around like he's got a motor under his hoodie, hauling planks, handing Greg a drill, sweeping sawdust into piles. His grin's a permanent fixture, and he ribs Mike every chance he gets. "Hey man, you're getting the hang of this," he teases, as Mike drives a nail into place. "Crooked, but it holds." Mike wipes his forehead, chuckles. "Yeah, well, I won't tell my boardroom. I'm supposed to be all spreadsheets, not hammers." "Too late, city guy. You're one of us now." Tina's on the porch a lot, watching it all unfold. Half the time she's still in scrubs, fresh off shifts, but there's something different, less guarded, more at ease. One afternoon, she pulls Mike aside, hands him a cold Kool-Aid. "You didn't have to do all this," she says, voice quiet. "Me and Jay, we've been okay on our own since his dad left." Mike takes the cup, nods slow. "I get that. My folks weren't around much either, left me figuring things out solo. Guess that's why this feels, I don't know, right?" She studies him for a beat, then nods. "Well, you're making Jay happy. That's more than I can say for most." Later, Jay's showing Mike the kitchen. Pipes fixed, cabinets half installed. "So, what's it like, man? All that fancy Seattle stuff, big meetings, crazy cars?" Mike leans on the counter, thinking. "Busy." Lots of handshakes. Late nights. People see the Bentley and think, I've got it made, but it's lonely sometimes. My wife, Laura, she's great. But the kids, Sophie's glued to her phone, Ethan's in his own world. Doesn't feel like this. He nods toward the house, where Tanya's laughing with Greg over some joke. Jay tilts his head. "Yeah, but you're here now, right? That's gotta count." The neighbors start poking around old Mrs. Larson from down the road, a couple guys in pickup trucks. Drawn by the noise, the change. Tanya invites them in one evening, and suddenly the living room's full, people sipping coffee, admiring the new floors. Mike's in the mix, chatting, feeling this weird pull. Like he's not just some outsider anymore. Jay's showing off his half-finished room, new walls, no leaks, and Tanya's beaming, quiet but proud. "Never thought we'd have folks over like this," she murmurs. Mike smiles. It's just the start. By sundown, Mike's sweaty, sore, and grinning like an idiot. He's up on a ladder helping Greg with the last window when Jay calls up, "Looking good, mister." Mike laughs, nearly drops the screwdriver, and something clicks. This isn't about paying Jay back anymore. It's about this house, this kid, this family that's pulling him in. He's not just fixing things, he's finding something he didn't even know he'd lost. And as the crew packs up for the day, he's already thinking about tomorrow, about what's next for this little corner of Ellensburg that's starting to feel a whole lot like home. All right, folks, this is it, the moment that makes you lean in, waiting to hear what happens next. It's late afternoon in Ellensburg, and Jay's house? It's transformed. After weeks of work, today marks the finish line. That black Bentley Bentayga rolls up one last time, dust swirling in its wake, and Mike steps out, taking in the sight before him. The house is no longer just standing, it's standing proud. The siding gleams in a crisp blue, the roof is solid, and new windows reflect the golden light of the setting sun. The porch, once creaky and worn, now feels sturdy, welcoming, almost as if it's saying, "Come on in." Inside, the floors shine, the kitchen boasts brand new cabinets. In Jay's room, it's finally a real space. Dry walls, a desk by the window, and no more leaks. Before Mike can even knock, Jay bursts through the door, grinning so wide it's contagious. "Man, it's done. You gotta see this." He grabs Mike's arm, practically dragging him inside, pointing out every detail. New shelves in the living room, a sink that actually works without sputtering. Tanya is there too, in jeans instead of scrubs for once. She runs a hand along the kitchen counter, her voice quiet, almost like she's speaking to herself. "It's really finished, huh?" Mike nods. "Yeah, it's all yours now." The crew is packing up, tossing tools into trucks. Greg, ever the no-nonsense guy, gives Mike a thumbs up. House is solid, boss. Then he's off, leaving just the three of them standing on the porch, the sky painted in warm hues of orange and pink. Jay is still buzzing with excitement, but Mike has one last thing up his sleeve. He reaches into his pocket, pulls out an envelope, and hands it to Tanya. One more thing, he says. Her hands tremble slightly as she opens it, unfolding the papers inside. Her eyes widen. She looks up at him, blinking in disbelief. What is this? Mike's voice is steady, kind. It's a trust fund for Jay, college, trade school, whatever he wants to do. No strings attached. I just wanted to do this. Jay's jaw drops. You serious? College? Tanya shakes her head, her eyes welling up. Mike, it's too much. We can't accept this. But Mike doesn't waver. He steps closer, his voice calm but firm. It's not too much, Tanya. You and Jay, you gave me something I can't put a price on. This isn't about paying you back. It's just my way of saying thank you. Before he can say another word, Jay is on him, wrapping him in a hug so tight it knocks the breath from his lungs. For a second, Mike just stands there, caught off guard. Then, slowly, he hugs back, feeling something shift deep inside him. Thank you, man, Jay murmurs, voice thick with emotion. Thank you so much. Tanya wipes her eyes and steps forward. You've changed our lives, Mike. I don't even know where to begin. He meets her gaze. You changed mine first, more than you know. They settle onto the porch steps, the last rays of sunlight stretching across the yard. Jay's still clutching those papers, his eyes bright with possibility. I'm going to do something with this, he says. Help people, like you did for us. Mike nods, a lump in his throat. You already are, kid. You started this. Tanya watches them for a moment, then smiles. Guess we're stuck with you now, huh? Mike laughs, soft and genuine. Hope so. The Bentley is still parked there, its sleek black frame catching the fading light, but somehow it doesn't feel like a shield anymore. More like a bridge. Behind them, the house glows with new life, a testament to everything they've built. Not just walls, not just repairs, but something deeper, something real. Mike knows this isn't the end. It's a beginning, one he never saw coming when that tire blew out. And as they sit there, the world slowing down around them, he feels it in his bones. This is what matters. This is home. It's the next day in Ellensburg, and Jay's house is buzzing like never before. Word has spread about the transformation, and the whole neighborhood is showing up. Pickup trucks and minivans line the road, folks carrying trays of mac and cheese, apple pie, and a big jug of sweet tea. The sun peeks over the Cascades, casting everything in gold, and that freshly painted blue house, it's the star of the show. Mike rolls up in the Bentley, gravel crunching under the tires one last time. He steps out grinning like he belongs. Because, let's be real, he does. Jay's out front, directing traffic like a pro. Park over there, Mrs. Larson. He lights up when he sees Mike. Man, you made it! Look at this! Everyone's here! Inside, the place is packed. Kids running across the new floors, adults admiring the kitchen. Tanya is in the thick of it, setting out plates, laughing with an old neighbor about how the sink doesn't leak anymore. She spots Mike, weaves through the crowd, and hands him a glass of lemonade. Didn't think we'd ever have a party like this, she says, eyes shining. Mike takes a sip, nodding. Now, you and Jay did this, I just pitched in, but she's not letting it slide. Later, she taps a spoon against a glass, ding, and the room quiets. Listen up, y'all. This man right here, Mike, he turned our house into a home again. He's family now, and we're so damn grateful. Her voice cracks and Mike swallows hard as the crowd erupts in cheers. He's not used to this, applause instead of boardroom nods, but it feels right. Jay is in the mix, telling a kid how he's going to use that trust fund. Maybe fix cars, maybe build houses. Gotta help people, you know? He finds Mike leaning against the wall, eyes bright. I've been thinking, man, I want to do what you did. Make things better for people who need it. Mike rests a hand on his shoulder, proud as hell. You're already doing it, kid. Started with me on that road. Whatever's next, I've got your back. Jay nods, all serious. Thanks, mister. You changed everything. As the sun dips low, the crowd begins to thin. Goodbyes, hugs, promises to come back. Mike stands on the porch with Jay, stars blinking to life overhead. So, what's next, kid? He asks. Jay grins. Gonna make a difference. Like you. Mike smiles, throat tight. Me too. They head inside, Tanya waving them in for leftovers and its warm mac and cheese, laughter, home. Later that night, back in Bellevue, Mike is different. He pulls Laura aside, Bentley keys still in hand. I found him again. Did more, set up a fund for Jay, fixed their place. And I want to keep going, help more people. She looks at him, eyes soft, hand on his arm. You're finally getting it, Mike. He nods, he feels it. Something real. Something that's not just money or deals. It's about Jay, Tanya, and that little house that reminded him what matters. And as he stands there, looking out at the stars beyond the glass walls, he knows this isn't the end. It's a beginning. For Jay, for Tanya, for him, a new road ahead. And this time, he's not traveling it alone. And folks, that's the kind of story that sticks with you. Hope, heart, and one hell of a ride. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on more exciting stories every day. See you in the next one.